Welcome to First Parish in Waltham. We're so glad you're here. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. My name is Elise Gittleman, and I serve on the Board of Managers as Community Outreach Commissioner. I am a 5'5" white woman, older than my red hair makes me look at age 69. Here are some of this week's announcements, and it was a little chaotic getting them, and I apologize to anyone in the church if I didn't get yours. There's Chaplains on the Way, who is one of our partner organizations, is having an all-you-can-eat barbecue and silent auction here in a couple of weeks, September 15th. The event is open to the community at large. The suggested donation is $10 per individual and $30 per family. Auction items have been donated by local businesses. Chaplains on the Way has been the recipient of a Jones Partnership grant for many years. If you would like to help out with this event, you'll find a sign-up genius in the church newsletter, and they always appreciate any kind of volunteer help. Just because you have to have food things at church every week. There's a chili party next Sunday, and that will be in the newsletter, and a reminder to everyone, whatever congregation you belong to, that primary voting is this Tuesday, September 3rd. We tried to make our services as accessible as possible. We have hearing helpers, large print versions of our order of service and hymnals, and those are available from our ushers. And today is the last in the series of 10 summer worship services, which have been a collaboration of the UU churches in Concord, Lexington, Lincoln, and Bedford. We extend, yes, thanks for everyone. We extend a special welcome to anyone joining us either online or in person. We really have appreciated the opportunity to get to know you better over the last 9 weeks. So today's service is being led by myself, Elise Gittleman, and my husband, John Allen, and our son, Jacob Allen, and our dear Michael Carmody on piano. And I just want to share that this was a very exciting summer for us because our house is being renovated. And I see my 2 hosts in the back there that were out of our house staying with friends for much of that time. And the house is almost done. So our life has been a little chaotic. And if the service reflects that in any way, that's life, that happens.
Thank you, Sue Genser, for the ringing of the bell. I'm John Allen, so good morning and welcome to First Parish in Waltham, Unitarian Universalist congregation. We extend a special welcome to visitors this morning, especially if you are joining us for the first or second time. Wherever you are on your journey of spiritual or personal exploration, or just stopping in, whether in the sanctuary or connecting online, we hope you will find that what we provide this morning is enriching and thought-provoking. Thank you.
We hallow our shared time together this morning by kindling the flame of our Unitarian and Universalist legacies. May our chalice and its flame keep us mindful of the liberal traditions we are called to nurture and carry forward. For this service, we have chosen songs that were sung in the civil rights movement, songs that have simple, repetitive lines with only one change per verse, making them easy to learn for crowds and easy for them to sing along with. They also could easily be modified to fit particular situations. People could feel the power of their numbers when they heard all their voices joining together. Rise in body or spirit in singing our first hymn this morning, This Little Light of Mine, hymn number 118 in our gray hymnal. We take a moment now to recall the promises which, as members of this friends of this faith community, we make to ourselves and one another. As we do so, let us read our covenant together. Newcomers and guests, the words are printed in our order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. You may be seated.
So the time for all ages is truly a time for all ages. And so I'm going to ask questions and you can think about it. And if you feel like shouting out answers now, you can, because later I'm going to ask you to do that again. So when you were a child, or if you feel like you're still a child now, what did you help your grown-ups with? What were some of the things when you were a kid? What are some things people had to do? Set the table. Set the table. Other stuff. I'm sorry? Changing the beds. Changing the beds. What else? Mow the lawn. Dry the dishes. Sweep the floor. Laundry. Groan. You were required to groan. Not all of us. What? Fold the diapers. Hopefully not your own. Okay. A lot of stuff. So most of us there was something we had to do. So the Blackman sisters, Linda and Joanne, lived in Selma, Alabama with their father and grandmother in the 1960s. Joanne wrote a story about wishing she could sit at the lunch counter in the drugstore in Selma. Her grandmother told her that Black children were not allowed to eat there. When they were young, the government made it very difficult for Black people to vote. When Black people started organizing to fight for the right to vote, Joanne's grandmother told her, "When we get our freedom, you will be able to sit on that stool and eat ice cream too." And in her story, Joanne says at that moment, she became a freedom fighter. So the grown-ups held demonstrations demanding the right to vote, and then they were arrested and kept in jail for several days. They missed work and could lose their jobs for missing work. So the children in Selma decided to help the grown-ups by holding demonstrations and going to jail themselves. By the time Joanne was 11, she had been arrested 13 times. The two sisters went to jail many times, and they even participated in the 54-mile-long march from their city of Selma to the state capitol to help the grown-ups win the right to vote. So that's more than washing the dishes, even harder than folding the diapers, which I'm glad I never got that job. So I want to share something. And so I have some questions about Selma. So again, I was a school teacher, so I like people that speak back. I don't like to just hear myself talk. And what happened there? So ask a question. If you know the answer, shout it out, and I'll repeat that so everybody can hear it. So what state is Selma in? Alabama, that's right. And what's the capital of Alabama? Montgomery. Who famously refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery? Oh, we got an A+, everybody got that one. And what preacher led the Montgomery bus boycott? Dr. King, okay. What bridge did the march from Selma cross at the beginning? Does anybody know the name? Edmund Pettus. And what year was that march? Oh, this is like my students used to do. They just keep saying an answer until I nod my head. Do you want to take a vote? No, just. It actually was not till 1965. And does anyone know the month and the day? Jacob, what's your birthday? What day of the month is your birthday?
The 7th.
March 7th. So it was March 7th, 1965. What famous congressman was beaten after crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge? John Lewis. Okay. And what national law was passed as a result of the march from Selma to Montgomery? Voting Rights Act of 1965. Anybody know what the Supreme Court case was that turned a lot of that away? Anybody remember? No, that's an old one. That's the old part of the cert. We already did that. That's what we already did. It was actually Shelby v. Holder, and that said that much of the Voting Rights Act was no longer required. So that things about making districts that were equitable is no longer part of law.
When was that?
Shelby v. Holder, check on your phone. About 10 years ago.
2013, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So now that I actually was not a history teacher, so that I would ask any of these is funny. So we have a lot of facts here about this pivotal event in U.S. history. And most of us, knew at least some of them. Everybody knew Rosa Parks. in 2018, I decided I wanted our family to know more than just facts. And so I wanted us to spend time in Alabama and visit the places where this history happened. And I modeled our experience on the programs that the Living Legacy pilgrimages offer. I'd wanted to go with the group, but they always did week-long programs in the fall and the spring when I was teaching. It didn't really work for me. So we did some planning and research and headed to Alabama and spent Christmas break 2018 in Alabama. So on our second full day in Alabama, we drove to Selma. Along the way, we planned to visit the grave of Viola Liuzzo, a Unitarian Universalist and a mother of 5 from Detroit, Michigan. When Dr. King called for people of faith to join the march, she told her husband that the struggle was, quote, everybody's fight, and drove to Selma, helping shuttle people around in her car with her Michigan license plates. When she was driving a Black man from Montgomery back to Selma, she was shot dead by members of the KKK. So we wanted to go see this memorial, and we had a rental car and the Google Maps on our phones, and we really struggled with directions. And eventually we found this somewhat hidden memorial. I mean, you could really easily go right by it. We noticed the grave was surrounded by an impenetrable fence and looked at the dedications and commemorations. We were really sad. It's just heartbreaking, and struggled to think of a prayer to say at the site, just to acknowledge. So we drove on to Selma, figuring we would get a brochure with a map about all the important sites at the visitor center. Unfortunately, this was just when Congress had allowed the government to shut down a few days earlier by not passing an appropriations bill. Since the visitor center for Selma is part of the National Park Services, it was closed. Surprise. So all we had was the maps on our phone and a few brochures we'd picked up in Montgomery. We walked towards Brown Chapel, where many of the meetings about the marches were held. We came upon another memorial to a Unitarian Universalist in Selma. It commemorated the Reverend James Reeb, who had been murdered in Selma when he also answered Dr. King's call for people to come. My husband, John, had known Reverend Reeb when John was a teen. His Baltimore UU Church youth group had done activities with Reverend Reeb's Washington, D.C. youth group. Once again, we stood and felt bad, took pictures, and wandered on. We wandered around Selma, a city that is fading. There's lots of broken down buildings on Main Street, lots of empty lots, closed businesses. And the thing that sticks with me from our visit is walking over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. As Wikipedia says about it, because Selma is built on a bluff, this is high up, over the Alabama River, the west side of the bridge is higher than the east side. The center of the bridge is 100 feet over the river. So the marchers who started out on March 7th on the west side of the bridge would have reached the peak of the bridge, not a short distance. They walk, get to the top, before they saw law officers on horseback, officers with billy clubs in their hands and with dogs waiting to attack them. As we walked over the bridge, I tried to imagine how it would feel for people like John Lewis and Linda Blackman and all the other activists as they reached that point, and then chose to keep walking forward. Their deep commitment to the cause of freedom showed because they kept on walking. Okay, well, that's very well timed. So I invite you to join me in a time of meditation and pastoral prayer. So what a gift it is to come here to this spiritual home. Here in this welcoming sanctuary, I invite us to let go of the busyness that distracts us. Let go of the disappointments that hold us hostage. Take a deep breath in and release it slowly. Feel yourself firmly planted in your pew. Know that you are safe in this moment. Safe to be still and to let your heart engage with the mystery that surrounds us. Let us be held together in silence as we ready ourselves for prayer. We each come here with our own beliefs. In each of us, there is some understanding of why we are here. In our own way, may we ask for the help we need. May we reach for the strength that is required for the days ahead. May we receive the love that can hold us and carry us through our struggles. May we know that in this moment, we are good enough. May we have faith that we will find what we really need. May we know that we are not here alone. There are others who can help us, and still others who need us to help them. We see a world where there is inequality and injustice, and hope for a world that can be kinder and more loving. We see a world where there is violence done to people and the environment, and hope for a world where the earth and all of her people are treated with respect and care. Knowing that peace in the world starts with peace in our hearts, May we live this day and every day with kindness towards ourselves and towards each other.
Excuse me. The Consortium of Churches has agreed that the money collected at our joint summer services would be donated to UU the Vote, which engages people in voter registration, issue education, get out the vote drives, voter protection, state leadership development, and more. In particular, they are running weekly phone banks every Tuesday evening, which all are welcome to join. Please ask Elise for information if you are interested. Bethany will share with us a song that evokes the sorrow felt by many enslaved people who were traded away from their family of birth and the community they had been raised in. The domestic slave trade moved over 1 million slaves around the South after the transatlantic slave trade was outlawed in 1808 in the USA.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way
On March 21st, 2 weeks after the first attempt to march into Montgomery, the federal government provided protection to a limited number of marchers who reached Montgomery on March 25th, with many people joining at the end of the march. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. addressed the crowd on the steps of the Capitol. This is an excerpt. Today, I want to tell the people of Selma. Today, I want to say to the state of Alabama. Today, I want to say to the people of America and the nations of the world that we are not about to turn around. We are on the move now. Yes, we are on the move, and no wave of racism can stop us. We are on the move now. The burning of our churches will not deter us. The bombing of our homes will not dissuade us. We are on the move now. Like an idea whose time has come, not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us. We are moving to the land of freedom.
So I'm going to lead you in one of the songs of the Freedom Marchers. As Elise explained at the start, this song has one word that changes in every verse. So we can put ourselves in the shoes of the marchers, and they could march and still sing. So I'll sing one verse, and then you join in. And Michael will help us with the one word that changes. Thank you. F sharp.
Thank you. I know where those are.
Yeah, good question. You may stand as you are able, as we always say. Nobody's gonna turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't nobody gonna turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on to freedom land.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down to freedom land. Segregation ain't gonna let segregation turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, talking to the freedom land. Racism ain't gonna let racism gonna turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let racism gonna turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking up to freedom's land. No hatred now.
Ain't no hatred gonna turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't no hatred gonna turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching to the freedom's land.
Injustice now ain't gonna let injustice turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Nobody ain't gonna know, nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking,
You may be seated if you wish. So another piece on visiting Selma. So this past year, Donna Vanderklok and Mary Hafey, who are two of our friends and fellow parishioners here in First Parish in Waltham, though Mary moved away several years ago, those of you who've come more recently may not have met Mary very many times, but they went on a Living Legacy pilgrimage to Alabama. So I'm wearing my shirt. On the pilgrimages, you don't just go to the historic sites. You actually meet people who were there when the events you're learning about happened. So when Donna and Mary went to Selma, they met Linda Blackman, the little girl who wanted to eat ice cream at the drugstore counter. She spoke to the group about what it was like to grow up in the deeply segregated South, that just wanting to have an ice cream at the counter in the drugstore, about how her mother had died because the local hospital that treated Black people didn't have any blood to give her after she had complications in a pregnancy. Sound pretty current. She also shared why the young people had started marching so that their elders wouldn't lose their jobs. They heard about her being in jail with her fellow marchers and being beaten after crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge. When the group went to Viola Liozzu's grave, the bus brought them right to the site, and right there they learned about her life. They joined together in commemoration of this brave woman's commitment, joining a fight that was everybody's fight. When they saw the memorial to Reverend Reeb, the group leaders shared his story. They joined together in song to honor the memory of this dedicated father and religious leader. And most importantly, at the end of the day, over dinner, they met with their assigned discussion groups to process that day's experience with new friends they'd met on the trip. They pondered questions that pushed them to think about what they'd seen and what they might do in the future based on that experience. And I have the sweatshirt because my husband and I went to Mississippi on a Living Legacy pilgrimage more recently, but I was focused here. And for me, the power of visiting Selma, how it came forward in my life, came up in 2020 after the killing of George Floyd. I heard that there would be a march in Franklin Park to protest this killing. And I had heard there had been some violence at marches in other cities. And to be honest, it was interesting. I waited till I heard some people I knew from work who were white say they were going, because I was a little anxious about being a white person in a majority Black situation. And when I looked at my fear about attending, I thought of Viola Liozzu and her bravery. And I really tapped into her spirit of this is everyone's fight to step into a place that was a little scary for me and did what I felt like I needed to do. So really, I felt like she was saying to me, come on, you could do this. This is easy. So that's kind of what I wanted to share about these trips. And like I said, this is what we wrote up in at the time between waiting for all the things to get put together in our house. And thank you for joining us. Do we have the last hymn? What's next? What's next? See? Paper, yes. and that one.
Let us remember, as we move out of this shared time together, that it is a job of good people everywhere to continue moving to the land of freedom. But that pilgrimage can never truly get us there. No, we must bring that land wherever we go. We can use our inner lights to kindle new sparks throughout our lives and in the world.
You are, there you go.
Is the hymn number?
There's none. I don't, we don't need it.
All right. For our final hymn, we're going to sing We Shall Overcome. Please rise now in body or spirit to join us in singing. Here's a number 169 in the gray hymnals, in case you don't know it already. As you are comfortable, we ask you to join hands through the whole sanctuary so that we may feel the spirit of this anthem of the civil rights movement move through us as one body. We will call out the words for each verse.
So folks are comfortable.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We walk hand in hand. We walk hand in hand. We walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall be free someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace.
All are welcome to come join us in the parish hall. They can go through that door and through some other doors for some coffee and light refreshments. Thank you so much for joining in the service. Thanks to all who helped out, the musicians, the tech team, the church staff, and we're grateful that everyone was here, able to be here with us today. Thank you so much.